All right, the Reds, it's the very last preview show, previewing a Premier League match this season with me, Gareth Roberts, Mo Stewart and Paul Cope as well. We may well do one about the Champions League final, of course. And remember as well that as of next season, and probably very soon, a lot of this stuff is going to disappear behind a bit of a paywall, because we are going to try and make a bit of dough off these videos, because we're a business, because we've got loads of people to pay for, because we've got officers to pay for, and we believe what we do is good, and that's why we've made a nice app. And if you haven't got that yet, go and look it up on the App Store, look it up on Google Play if you've got an Android phone. Shit then. Anyway, only messing. So the preview show, we're going to talk about the Reds, we're going to talk about the fucking mentality giants that we support. Liverpool are odds on to win this game against Wolves. The draw is 4-1 according to the bookies, and they make an away win 8-1. Obviously we all know the situation. We need Manchester City to draw or lose and Liverpool to win, and should that happen, the Reds will be champions. All that seems to have sort of got lost a little bit, doesn't it, in the excitement about Madrid and what we did to Barca and the fact that we're going to yet another European Cup final. But let's just imagine for a moment that, you know, there is that slip up, that there is that moment, that there is an inspired keeper, or someone gets sent off, or the randomness of football happens.
To be honest, I have been thinking about it a lot
Clearly,
since Tuesday night, because like you say, that ball of momentum starts to roll. And yes, it wasn't a case of us being lucky by any chance on Tuesday, but you just
we were perfect.
We were brilliant. We did exactly what we needed to do. And I think that we're all confident that we can do exactly what we need to do again on Sunday. The question then opens it up onto the other side. That's the thing that we can't control. Klopp always talks about, we can't control those things, just leave them to the side. But the confidence we're showing right now and the way we go about it, it's not like they're going to be watching us while they're playing. They're going to be simultaneous games. But they're going to know in the back of their head, if their game isn't going right, they're going to assume that we're flying. And if we can get out to a couple of goals early lead or something, maybe put some pressure on them, they're 0-0 at half time, you just never know, mate.
Copey, our team is fucking mentality giants. You know, Klopp was absolutely right to say that, because, you know, you're not human if you didn't tune into City the other night and be a little bit deflated by the fact that a centre-half decides to have a shot and he hasn't scored for God knows how many years, and he puts it in the absolute top bin. And the reason he's having the shot in the first place is desperation, because City was struggling a little bit to get through Leicester. Yeah. Leicester had done, broadly speaking, all right up to that point, and it was a bit like, fucking hell, it's going to be one of them. And yet, Liverpool the next day, absolutely no effect, and go and blow Barcelona away. And what a brilliant way to react to that situation, because I think lots of people would have thought that's going to be tough for Liverpool to take, and Liverpool just went, nah.
Yeah, I thought so. I actually thought, it's weird actually going back and reflecting on all this now, because it's just been a whirlwind, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And I thought, I was chatting to Ben Jono before the game, and I was worried it was going to be flat against Barca.
Yeah,
because I thought that we went out and watched, a few of us went out and watched the City game, and it's possibly one of the worst experiences of my life. It was horrible, just a horrible game to watch, and because when you're not supporting your own team, and you're just hoping this other team that isn't anywhere near as good as yours is going to do something for you. And then when they score that goal, it's weird, because there's two ways to look at this, and I keep sort of swinging between the two. And the Barca result has made me go back towards the sort of dreamland stuff that we like to talk about, the positivity. Because their last two games, City, you can look at it and say, they won one by a goal that went across the line by this much, and then they won the second one with a ridiculous goal by a centre-half who, as you said, hasn't had a shot on target from outside the box for 6 years. Yeah. And if you're them, you might say, our name's on the trophy, lads. But now that what we did with Barcelona, I'm starting to go back to, or maybe you're just stuttering loads, and maybe your heads have gone a little bit, and you're not doing what you were doing before. And maybe if Brighton can get to half-time at 0-0, and their keeper can have one of those performances, just maybe, who knows?
The thing, there's an interview with Virgil van Dijk, which I'd urge everyone to have a read of. It's I saw it in The Guardian. It's probably elsewhere by now. You know how the world works these days. But I really liked it, because a lot of the stuff that I feel like that our conversations over the season have generated, seem to also be happening inside the club. And what I mean about that is, you mentioned positivity. They are positive conversations, they are positive messages all the time. And what Virgil was saying was, whatever happens on Sunday, we've been great. Whatever happens on Sunday, we're not going away. We've got a young side. We're not going to suddenly fall off a cliff next season. This is the start of a process to try and overturn Manchester City. Now, we might do it on Sunday, and if not, we just start again. And this isn't all this, next year will be our year and all that crap that people like to take the piss off. This is a club and an institution and a group of players and a manager that are absolutely determined to overthrow Manchester City. And at some point, it does get in their heads. And at some point, we will do it as well. Yeah. And if it's not Sunday, it may well be next season. But I wrote something this week, and the way I was sort of looking at it was, go back a year, and just imagine being Liverpool and imagine being Manchester City. So if you're Liverpool, you go back a year or so, give or take a couple of weeks. And so Liverpool have lost the Champions League. Manchester City have won the league with 100 points, 25 ahead of Liverpool, 19 ahead of everyone else, 11 records broken in terms of points, wins. Well, you know all this. But the psychology of that situation, I think, is really tough for Jurgen Klopp and the rest of his team to say to the players, OK, next season, let's go. We're going to really, really challenge them. And because if you're sitting in that changing room, surely you're going, well, hang on, boss. These are fucking amazing,
And the thing that I think is most interesting is that the way he went about trying to challenge them, it wasn't to say, look, lads, they're not going to be that good again next year. It was to say, look, they probably are going to be that good again next year, but we can be that good as well. And that's the best long-term solution to tackling someone like that. And yes, there's going to be obviously a feeling of flatness. I mean, you've heard some of the quotes Klopp said about how determined they were to get back to the final after last year went wrong. So if we do fall at the last hurdle in the league, you'll expect there to be some fire from it. But like you say, the way you build a team, you build a squad, you expect to challenge year on year on year. So whether Liverpool win the title this year or they don't, everyone in that dressing room expects to challenge for the title next year, and that's exactly what I expect to happen to.
Because he can walk in now, can't he, Coady, and say, look, you know how to get 90-odd points now. You know how to achieve that bar. So let's go even better than that now. And, we were playing Wolves here. Around the Wolves game away, he was talking openly on an interview about maybe we need to get 105 points. And people at that time were going, that's mad that Liverpool's manager's coming out with that. Doesn't look so mad now when you're going to end up likely with 97, does it? All of a sudden it's like, well, we ain't far off that bar. And it's a messaging thing, isn't it, from Klopp all the time, to his players, to us as fans, to the rest of the world. Liverpool are fucking going nowhere. Yeah. Liverpool are here to stay this time.
Yeah, and all of that stuff is incredible. And just watching the way the players reacted the other night, we were talking just before about the Ajax and Spurs game and how naive Ajax were. And in many ways, they remind me of us in the past.
Yeah.
Like, we've had times like this, the Rodgers team, even the Klopp team originally, where you just can't get over the line. You're a great football team, you're really good, you're really entertaining, but you just haven't got that grown-up side of you. And you compare that to the last 2 minutes of our game the other night, where you've got Fabinho bursting through the middle with the ball, and literally might as well have just put a sign up saying, foul me now, mate, because that's what I'm doing here, I'm getting a free kick. And then 2 minutes later, or a minute later, whatever it was, James Milner's in their corner, basically going to the lads around him, you're not getting this football. Like, I'll sit on it if I have to, but we've won this football match. And all of that coming together, the positivity, the ground, we've all been doing different interviews in different places, and you get asked, was it the atmosphere? There's that, and I've said to people, there've been loads of boss atmospheres over the past that don't drag crap teams through. You can't. There's only so much you can do with atmosphere. It's got to be. Klopp said it after the game. It's got to be everything together. It's got to be. And there's a Mourinho clip doing the rounds where he damns Klopp with faint praise about this is all about energy, empathy, and motivation and stuff. It's not, mate. It's great tactics as well, and it's a great structure, and it's everything.
It's process, isn't it?
It's all the stuff we've been talking about in the past, and all of this stuff. I remember seeing an interview last year with someone talking about how do you take a team like this. They were talking about basketball, or one of the great basketball teams. How do you get it from here and motivate them to go further? And he said you can't come in and say to them, well, that wasn't good enough. But what you can say to them is, and you can't say, you need another 20 points. What you can say is, just give me an extra 0.5%.
Yeah.
That's all I need. If every one of you gives me an extra 0.5%, and you can all do that, we get 105 points next year. And then we don't have to worry about what they do. Because City can be as good as they want. We're the team on the upward trajectory here. I think if you're behind the scenes with Guardiola, there's even just a little part of his brain thinking about when he's going to leave. When will he have had enough of this? This is tough.
I think as well, for a really intelligent fella in Guardiola and a great football manager and a really interesting person to read about, to study and everything else, I found it surprising the other day that he said that loads of the media expected Liverpool to win, and sorry that isn't the case. That's very much the chimp side of the brain speaking, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I wasn't that surprised. He has just linked out his petty side here, there and everywhere, and particularly at the point where he believes that he is going to be victorious. It's very much one of those kind of Father Ted, settle my scores kind of situation. But he does it in a subtle way, but he does do it. Anyone who battles Mourinho for that long, it's not going to...
I mean, that was fantastic.
That was great. But it was also an indicator of what Paul was saying, because it was that atmosphere between him and Mourinho, between the two clubs, that led him to walk away. Because that was what he was getting sick of. And now, obviously, this title race has been very respectful from the manager's point of view. They clearly both like and respect each other. So you'd be surprised to see it go in that direction too far. But in terms of media pressure, this whole idea of how long it's been since he's won the Champions League, that's going to be the real one. Because even if they win the league again this year, and they're as amazing as they are, an English team is going to win the Champions League this year, and it's not going to be Manchester City. Yeah. So whatever he does in the league, that's going to be the thing thrown at him. And if they get to the end of next season and they don't do it again, or maybe they don't even get as close as they did this time, then he's definitely going to start thinking, well, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm not going to be able to do it with this side, just like you couldn't do it with Bayern Munich.
I think everyone needs to remember as well, look, whatever happens on Sunday, Liverpool, it's been brilliant from Liverpool this season. We're in a final as well. It's not even the end of the season now. The season now being extended to something brilliant. But I was looking at the league table this week as well, and I thought, okay, so we're getting the crap on the internet that you expect to get now. We're getting used to this kind of thing. But Chelsea right now are the nearest side to City of Liverpool don't exist in the league. 24 points behind them. Tottenham are a further point behind. Arsenal are 28 points off the top of the league in 5th. Manchester United are 29 off the top of the league in 6th. And here's the Reds in a European Cup final, taking the league to the very final day. If you don't think that's good, there's something wrong with you. Anyway, Neil Atkinson is away at the moment. He's not feeling very well. John Gibbons has stepped in to do the tactics board. Here he is having a bit of a chat about what Wolves and Liverpool might look like on the pitch at Anfield on Sunday.
Liverpool v Wolves on Sunday. We know what Liverpool will do more or less. 4-3-3. They've been playing that most of the time this season. Wolves have been fairly consistent too. Used one of the fewest players in the Premier League all season, at least until last weekend when they did throw a few of the kids on to bump that up a bit. But generally speaking, they've been very consistent in terms of the formation, very consistent in terms of how they played, and pretty consistent in terms of results as well. It will be a back three. Scouser Conor Coady there in the middle. Will be a back three. And I'm sure at times when Liverpool are on top, it'll be a back five, but don't be fooled too much because these wing-backs do like to get forward, especially Doherty on the right. He's their 3rd top scorer this season. He's got 8 in all comps. Really good going for a right wing-back there, and he will get forward. And they play a genuine 2 up front. You don't see that too much in the Premier League nowadays, especially sort of outside the top clubs, but it is a genuine 2. They are a genuine partnership, and they've scored a lot of goals this season, so Liverpool are going to have to be careful there. Obviously, we like to get our full-backs forward as much as we can, but that means leaving those 2 boys there, probably Matip and Van Dijk, exposed one-on-one with those guys, so we are going to have to be careful. In midfield, they'll have probably 2 sitting deep, and then Ruben Neves, who'll be allowed to stroll around, get his shots away. Obviously scored a great goal against us in the FA Cup. He's got more goals from outside the area than he's got touches in the opposition box this season, so that shows you what he's trying to do, and that shows you something that Liverpool are going to have to look out for. Just had a little chat with Mo Stewart as well. I'll give him a shout out for that. He said they'll often try and flood areas, try and win the ball back, in one wing, dragging out midfielders out there, and then they'll be looking for the big switch to the side. So that's something to look out for as well. So Wolves, they've got nothing to play for. We know what they're going to do, but it's one thing knowing it, it's another thing stopping it. They've been successful this season. They've taken at least a point off everyone in the top 6 this year, apart from Liverpool. Will they do it this weekend? Obviously, we're all open not, but plenty of good players out there for Wolves.
All right, nice one to John there, stepping in. The substitute doing a great thing, and that takes me nicely onto a substitute doing a great thing. I want to talk about Origi before we do Wolves, just because I've genuinely sort of got a bit of man love for this fella, because he's been kicking rounds at Liverpool. He gets loaned out, he turns down loans, turns down moves. He could have easily been playing for Wolves this weekend. He goes to Wolfsburg. Really doesn't work out. He gets absolutely ripped out there. I think he scores 6 league goals in 34 appearances. He's substituted in the first half against Hoffenheim, which is not great. And that happens to him here, by the way, as well. But also as well, there was some kind of bit of a pop at him generally, that there was some kind of relegation playoff and he didn't know anything about the other team, and it came out in public, and it was a shit time basically for him, is my point. He comes back to Liverpool. He's nowhere to be seen. You know, I remember when he does finally get on the pitch, it's like, oh, Origi, remember him? Yeah. And then he contributes so much to this season, culminating in what happens against Barcelona. Now, there's an interesting piece in The Guardian today about Origi's love of psychology. That's not new, by the way. It's been out there before that he's into it. But I think when you hear him talking anyway, you can hear it in what he says. Yeah. I mean, the other day there was some audio, which not mentioned in this Guardian piece, but he said then that I use football to shine a light or something like that, and I thought, it's nice that. But, you know, quite easily he could have been running around getting pissed off here and just moaning and, you know, having a pop. But he's, week after week, he's got his mind in the right place, and now he's contributed in a brilliant way. And you've got people about, you know, talking about building Divock Origi statues now. So, you know, this idea, this mentality thing that Klopp keeps talking about, Divock's the perfect example.
Oh yeah, he is the perfect example, because like you say, every lump that he's taken, he's used it to his advantage in the future. I mean, the time at Wolfsburg was really interesting. He had 3 different managers over the course of the season. He spent most of the season playing out position out wide, or he'd play maybe 3 games out wide, and then the next game he'd come off the bench up front, and he wouldn't have enough time. And it seemed like he'd never really gelled with the rest of that squad. I think a lot of them knew the fact that he was never staying there regardless of what happened that season. And so obviously, in a relegation battle, everyone's in their own cliques and stuff. He's not got one. And again, this is another situation he could be thinking like, what am I doing here? I'm sitting here arguing with these absolute no marks. I should be playing for one of the best teams in Europe. And yet when he does come back, like you say, the beginning of the season, we're all talking about Sturridge. It's Sturridge this, Sturridge that. He is the guy. He's getting a new contract. He's the one getting the statue. And yet, in the background, Origi, so sure of himself that he knows if he keeps doing the right things, Klopp is the kind of manager who will see that and will put him in. And that's why he was probably, I mean, despite the look on his face during the celebration, he probably wasn't surprised about what happened in the derby. He was probably the only one who wasn't surprised, because he would have known that if you keep going, keep putting yourself in the right position, rewards will come. And when we're looking at someone, that you need the character to be able to sit on the bench as well as the ability. When you think about Solskjaer, he's talked as one of the greatest substitutes ever, not just because he used to sit and watch the game and plan where he was going to be, but because he was always ready. He always believed in his own ability, and he never let the fact that he was on the bench ruin his play. And that's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And the fact, like you say, we've got so many people in our squad who've got so many different characteristics that we can all bring to whole, but the one thing they all share is belief in each other and themselves, and that's going to take you far.
And we're top of the league, Coady, for goals from substitutes. And again, you know, it all ties together, doesn't it? You know, like I say before, the messages coming out of the club, the results we're getting, the way we get them, the late goals. It's all, you can see how belief is absolutely central to what Liverpool are doing.
Yeah, and it ties into loads of other things as well, because there was a really fascinating clip with Gini Wijnaldum after the game on the pitch in the middle of the madness the other night, where he basically said he was really angry with Klopp for leaving him out.
Good, that one.
But something I love about this, the Wijnaldum and the Origi thing, is that he's got to pick an 11 to start a Champions League final now. And some people are going to be disappointed, and it might be Gini Wijnaldum, and you would think it will be Origi. But especially with what happened to those two in the Barcelona game, he's got an easy sales pitch to everybody who's not in the 11, who's on the bench, which is you can come on and win a European Cup final. And if you do that, you'll get remembered forever. You get a statue, you get a song, you get a banner, Solskjaer's a perfect example, isn't he? You will always
be
the
job at Man United.
Give it 20 years. That for me, and when you talk about this all coming together, that's how you can see sort of as a whole how powerful it is. And fair play to Origi.
Yeah.
As you were talking there, Mo, because I'm one of those people who I just know he's gone to Wolfsburg. I don't know anything about his time there. I know it hasn't been much of a success. But when you start hearing the details, I can picture how that happens. I often reference a podcast that you did a while ago. It might have been last year with lads at Marine.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favourite podcasts of all time because it gave everybody an insight of what it's like to be at the highest level and then drop away from that and how difficult it is. And it explains how, I've often wondered this, where you get people who don't make it at Man United or Liverpool or Arsenal, and you think, well, they'll go and make it at Wolves. And often that's not the case. No. It's rare that happens. They just fall off the face of the planet. And I think the Origi thing could be another interesting example of this, where he's gone. I'm not built to go and play for Wolfsburg. I'm not that type of lad. I can't go and play for Wolves. I'm better off at the highest level doing this bit. And it'll be interesting because now there's talk of him getting a new contract. I'm really intrigued to see what happens next because we had this under the Rafa era. People just wanting to leave if they weren't getting enough games. I think as time goes on now, you're going to get more and more people saying, I'll stay here.
Yeah.
I'd rather be a footballer playing for this club 15 games a season than be a footballer playing for that club playing 40 games a season. Because it's better. Like my life as a whole is better doing this.
Yeah, instead of sort of trying to win a war, just accepting that that's where you are. If that's what your mindset is, then you can do that. Well, let's talk about Wolves anyway. We've basically done a mind game show here, haven't we? Which is an idea we've got for a future video around sort of doing more psychology in the game. But anyway, we shall see. We're going to try and make that happen over the summer. But Wolves last 6 then, they beat Fulham 1-0 at home. They beat Watford 2-1 away. They beat Arsenal, Sam, 3-1. They drew 0-0 with Brighton, they lost to Southampton, and they lost to Watford in the FA Cup semi-final, with a late penalty being rather quite harsh to them. In terms of us, we obviously beat them earlier in the season, but they did make it quite tough for us. They knocked us out of the FA Cup, and the time before that, they knocked us out of the FA Cup as well. So maybe if you want unfinished business, there's some there. In terms of their away record, they're the 8th best Premier League club in terms of getting results on the road. So they've played 18 away, they've won 6, they've drawn 5, they've lost 7. Liverpool, meanwhile, at home, as you know, are brilliant. They haven't lost a game all season. They've won 16 and drawn 2. And it's funny, I don't know if you've seen this, Gareth Crooks has had a bit of a pop at the manager, and we all know he's a bit mad, to say the least. You only have to look at his teams of the week. But he came out with something along the lines of he's took him as far as he can. Which, if you start to look at the facts, is fucking wild. And Brian Reid in the Mirror, who's always great for my money, got stuck into it with some facts, and it was really good. And he basically said at the end of his piece, maybe Gareth Crooks has took punditry as far as he can go. But anyway, let's not get into all that.
He's certainly not, by the way. He's not taking it anywhere.
But Wolves have been impressive, haven't they? I mean, you run through the results in the season. They beat Arsenal 3-1, as I mentioned, after drawing with them away. They beat Manchester United 2-1 after drawing with them away. They got a draw at Chelsea in March after beating them at home. They won at Goodison Park 3-1. And they won at Tottenham Hotspur 3-1. They drew with City at home, but they lost 3-0 away. They've knocked us and United out of the FA Cup. I mentioned the late penalty, which means they don't get to the FA Cup final. They've won at least 57 points, hopefully no more, obviously, and that is the highest total by any promoted side for 18 years. And it was achieved by taking more points off the top 6 than any team outside the top 6.
Yeah.
So they're not bad, are they?
They're not bad. However, they did also lose home and away to Huddersfield. So that tells you already, despite what Gareth Quick thinks, they do have room for improvement.
Yep.
But it also tells you they do tend to play better against big teams who potentially are going to have more of the ball, more attacking, which allows them to draw them on and then do their big switches and have their the link between midfielders and the two up front. So they've got a very good system that works really well. And again, from Jurgen Klopp's perspective, he probably knows already now what their 11 is going to be, so he's probably already game planned for it. But they're a good side with good players. They don't have anything to play for specifically because they are going to finish 7th regardless of what happens in this game. So you do wonder about how, again, if we get early goals, how they will react. Will they just think, okay, well, we'll just let you do your thing, lads, or are they going to have the pride? But I think as well, playing at Anfield is a reward for a lot of these players for the way that they've played this season. So I would be surprised if you did make any changes to the teams. Like, you know, you've got us here, go out and enjoy playing at a fantastic stadium.
Yeah, because that's new for them, isn't it? Because they're up this season, etc., and they get to play here. And, you know, we've seen us fall foul of that, sadly, over the year. You know, I can remember teams like Barnsley winning, I think, at Anfield and stuff like that.
Watford,
obviously, we're going way back.
Yeah.
But
I remember all those as well. No. But
let's forget all that, because it doesn't matter, because this side's got a great mentality.
But what I would say as well is that some of the surprising losses Wolves have had have been to teams who were fighting for something. Like thinking they lost to Burnley when they were still in relegation trouble, Southampton when they were still in relegation trouble, City when they were going for the league. Admittedly, they were a goal and a man down after 20 minutes. But yeah, so those situations where one team is clearly more motivated than the other, they haven't done well. So here's hoping it's another one of those.
Let's hope indeed. In terms of the Liverpool team then, Coady, obviously we're doing this before Jurgen Klopp does his press conference. If you want more sort of up-to-date stuff on what's likely to happen, would urge you to have a listen to the Team Talk podcast that we put out. Will be tomorrow, where we watched Jurgen's press conference and put a podcast out straight after with the knowledge of what he's just said. But so we're speculating a little bit. We don't know too much about us injuries and stuff like that. But what we do know is, obviously, Firmino and Salah missed the game in the week. We don't know any fresh news on them. Robertson, we see go off the pitch as well and have a brilliant dig at Suarez later on. I mean, what he said after the game was, it doesn't feel the best at the minute, but I'll get a scan tomorrow. They're confident that it's just a nerve or whatever, and it can maybe be just a couple of days, but we'll wait and see. I can't really comment until I get the scan, but I'll be saying my prayers. Henderson, Van Dijk and Mane were all able to play the game through knocks, so they're expected to be all right based on what we know so far. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, nothing wrong with him. He's available for selection. And then the other one, the little wild card that I wondered about, is we've still got Ryan Brewster kicking around. He didn't get on in the end when there was talk that he might, so maybe he does here.
Yeah, maybe. It's a funny one, isn't it? Because I think it's easy for us to just all say, oh, we just win this game now, and that'll be fine.
But it's got to actually be won.
Yeah, it's got to actually be won first. And even the Brewster shout, he may not even be on the bench this time round, because there was a lot of talk about what was needed and the people missing the other day, which is why he ended up on the bench. He might not get there. And do you know what? Maybe Klopp will, thinking, well, if there's 20 minutes at the end and it's all done, then it'd be nice for him. But I'm not sure that'll be in Klopp's mind going into this game. You've just got to win, and that's it. Salah, I think, almost certainly comes back in, doesn't he? Because it was the concussion that kept him out. I think that the talk is that Robertson will be all right, but will miss the game, which I think if anyone in our squad needs just to have a little weekend off, I'm quite happy for it to be Andy Robertson and make sure he's fully firing for the final. But I mean, other than that, Bobby Firmino, I think is touch and go from what the
seems to be,
rumours are.
what we know, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he'll go as full strength as he possibly can. It's as simple as that. My biggest fear with all of this is still that Man City drop points, and so do we. And that would just be the worst way for us to all finish. But the bigger one for me actually is in their team, because there's a massive Conor Coady diddle and controversy that's potentially in this game. I was just chatting to someone before actually about, like, from a lawyer's perspective, but my old life, there's a conflict of interest here, lad. He's playing for a team that they've got nothing to play for, as Mo says. Like, there's nothing to gain for them at all. They can't even make more money by winning this game. They'll finish in the same league position. and he's a Liverpool supporter who goes to the game. This is the mad thing. You keep talking to people, you see him in the crowd at games. That's mad for a game of this magnitude. And I mean, he's a professional, and of course he's going to do his very best. But all it takes is for him to miss time a tackle and give away a pen, and there will be chaos in all
I mean, he's one of those players who always tries to put himself in the way of the ball, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And consequently, he scored, 3 own goals this season? There's going to be a lot of shots going in this game on Sunday.
I love the way he's urging him to be involved in the story.
I feel for him because
I feel sorry for him.
Because genuinely, the way he plays puts him in the firing line to do that. But should he score an own goal on Sunday, no one's going to think it's an accident, regardless if it hits him in the arse and spins 3 times before it goes in. They're going to
thing is, though, I wanted this the other night. You know, as soon as I see Mike Dean was the referee for the City game, I thought he's from the Wirral. But you know, anyone who's not from round here looks at it and goes, he's from Merseyside, Scouser. And I just thought, you know what, I'd love something mad to happen, like he gives a dodgy pen, the pen hits the bar and he heads it in or something. Just something ridiculous. Because like the conspiracy...
I mean, that would have been like, that would have been a bit obvious.
But you know, the conspiracy theorists are so mad though, aren't they? Like you almost want something to happen that's going to make their heads explode. Well, you know, the maddest thing ever. But and then you can just go, yeah, sound, we still won the league.
But it's almost for us to win the league, that has to happen, doesn't it? I think for us to win the league from here, you at least need something mad in the Man City game to happen. I've referenced, I can't wait to see the reaction to this. Actually, I put an article up today, and the last line of my article is, I remember Ludek McCloskey. And I can't wait for the number of people who are like...
Josh asked me you. Well, Josh asked me you. Because he's like, who's this? And I'm like, he's the keeper when United don't win the league on the last day. And he went, oh, I get it now. I get it now.
I've got to be loads, because like for our age group and for the old ones, everyone knows that story. Because, and for anyone watching who doesn't know, it's Blackburn came to Anfield last game of the season with Dalglish. We beat them to hand it to United, and they just don't win away at West Ham, and West Ham were crap. And he was basically man of the match.
Peppered the goal.
The goal. I still remember seeing it on telly, and it was like everyone was saying someone should send him a medal. And I'm watching Matt Ryan for Brighton going, step up, time to step up, mate. And one of the lads, I think it was Ben Jono, chatting to a fella who's an Australian, and he was like, yeah, I mean, the Aussies had quite like some involvement in this, and it'd be nice for him to get involved and have a man of the match performance. So I would say there'll be at least some madness on Sunday, and the more madness there is, the more likely we are to win the league. So
whatever you do, whether you believe in a higher being or not, just have a little prayer, eh? Put anything lucky on. Do whatever you can. Let's all believe. Let's all think. Let's all picture Liverpool with a Premier League trophy in their hands. That'd be sound on Sunday, wouldn't it? I'd love to see that. I'm sure you would as well. That's been the preview show. Thanks for watching these all season long. We hope you've enjoyed them. We hope you've enjoyed our video offering, and you'll come with us once it's behind the paywall on the app and everything else. In the meantime, we'll keep on doing them. We'll certainly, I would have thought, do one before the Champions League game. There will still be Talking Reds on YouTube as well. There's loads of podcasts. There's loads of writing. There's loads of Anfield rappers going all around the world, speaking to mad media, CNN and all kinds of things. Kopi's going on 5 Live in a bit. We're everywhere, mate. We're not going anywhere. And if you've been a blurt in the YouTube comments this season, love you. Mwah! The Anfield rap, that's been the preview show.